Have you heard of this new Filipino Disney princess? No, you haven't. Because this is made in 2008 and animated in the Philippines. So why does it look so much like Mulan and Pocahontas had a love child? Well, to get the true answer, we need to look into the history of animation in the Philippines. In a book called Animation in Asia and the Pacific, it goes over just that, up until about 2001, which is when it was published. So animation came to the Philippines in the form of special effects. From there, some of the first animations was used for advertisements. Then, dictator Marcos used animation to push his rewritten history through the film Tadhana, meaning destiny, based on his book of the same name. This was animated by Ninoy Marcelo, who animated a lot of films for the Marcos administration, including a film commissioned by Amy Marcos, as well as a film commissioned by the Green Revolution. The style of animation in the Philippines is rooted in colonization, as America had just occupied the Philippines after the Spanish-American War, and while Japan did occupy the Philippines and had an influence on animation, we will be focusing on America's effect on Filipino animation in this video. In hopes of stimulating foreign business, dictator Marcos started subcontracting animators to other countries for cheap labor. Nowadays, many Filipino artists are hired overseas because of their familiarity with Western culture, knowledge of the English language, and willingness to work for a lower salary than that of the typical American. Burbank Studios was one of the first to open a studio in the Philippines in hopes of reaching that American audience. And while the company has since gone under, it paved the way for studios such as Phil Cartoons to come about. Phil Cartoons in particular worked on Anastasia and Mulan for Fox Studios, but the way in which they were credited led them to be seen by critics as lesser animators and more of artisans. Animation in the Philippines continued to evolve, slowly but surely, and when digital technology allowed for cheaper 2D and 3D animation to be made, more films were able to be produced. This includes Deo the Wanderer and the Land of Elementalia.
Hi! Diyan ka lang! Diyan ka lang!
RPG Metatonia.
Ba? Yun nga masaya sa mga video game eh. Para akong superhero. Pag may mga kaaway, tawag silang lahat sa yoyo ko.
And of course, Urduja. And they use some quality animation in these films. So before we get into the animation of it all, let me give you a brief summary on Urduja. This movie recounts the legend of the warrior queen of what was once known as the kingdom of Tawalisi. She was known to have said, "I will marry only the man who can defeat me. My husband must be braver, stronger, and wiser than myself." Along with the feminist themes, very similar to that of Mulan, the Urduja movie adds a few details that make it feel truly like a Disney film. I'm talking songs, animal sidekicks,
Makinig ka. Kung la kwenta, wag na yang sa. Kung la kwenta, wag na yang sa. Kung la kwenta, wag na yang sa. Kung la kwenta, hoy, wag na lang.
and of course a love story.
Urduja!
So why does this film look so much like Disney? And what is this Disney style that makes it look so similar? According to an academic journal, the Disneyfication of Filipino animations is a result of the commercialism and success of Disney. Their formula has proved to provide successful films for Disney for years, but it doesn't provide the same success for foreign industries like that of the Philippines. They end up without a distinct identity, which also leads them to compete directly with Disney and its audience. This competition leaves Filipino films without profit due to their lack of resources, going against Disney's abundance of resources. Now, is it too late to develop their own unique animation style and identity? I don't think so. In fact, I think this can be a way to break out of the Disney loop and create their own audience. However, this takes funding, and that does not come readily. And it's unfortunately a trend amongst the animation industry in the Philippines. In fact, most feature-length animated films do not make a profit. And according to an academic journal, Code Marking of the Past, the failure of these films can be attributed to a variety of factors, including lack of support, lack of audience, too much of a westernized design, and even outdated technology. After all, studios with less money can't keep up with the continuously developing tech of their Western competitors. What makes this film differ from the films made by Disney is the cultural aspect. The film shows dancing, and this traditional style of dance is still performed today. This film also shows a traditional Filipino wedding. Although nowadays, Filipino weddings have a lot more Catholic influence. The possibility for a distinct identity is there, it just isn't as profitable. Filipino animation has a long way to go in gaining an identity in the animation industry, and the commercialism of Disney is stifling their ability to do so. Despite the lack of success, this industry continues to survive via outsourcing and subcontracting work. Some Filipino studios who do this include Zentrix Toons, who worked on Beware the Batman, the new Monster High movie
is punishable by death. Pardon, punishable by detention!
And Big Nate's.
And my mission is to make middle school not awful.
Snipple Animation worked on Hamster and Gretel.
Guys, hurry, get in!
Aw, Kevin, we've got this. Robot punch!
Primo
So this isn't going to be the summer I dreamed of.
to the Proud Family.
Mama, my gosh, stop!
Top Draw Animation worked on The Loud House,
Found him! How dare you bully our brother? Only we get to do that.
Tom and Jerry Show, and The Rise of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the movie.
The future. Let's start over.
And finally, Toon City Animations worked on Has-Been Hotel,
Of course you do. That's why you're in hell.
Zig and Sharko Seasons 3 and 4, and The Glassworker.
I'll never forget my first day in waterfront town.
Filipinos are also making way in the American animation industry, as Forgotten Island by DreamWorks is set to release in September of 2026, and it has a Filipino-American director making his debut. And while there's not much known about the film just yet, I'm excited to see just how many Filipinos had a hand in creating this film. With that being said, I feel very optimistic about the Filipino animation industry, and with more financial support, a new identity in animation would be able to emerge.
I'll see you when you finish line.